It's hilarious.
Man, sorry, it's just me. I just love being me.
I love it.
Okay, so for starters, welcome to another episode, everybody else that is just tuning in here with Inspired by Jimmy L. I have Dacavien Reeves on today, and I am so grateful for him. Not only is this man from my hometown here in Memphis, but his story is remarkable. So from going from homeless twice to being accepted at Morehouse is freaking phenomenal. It's really, really amazing. So Mr. Reeves.
Yes, sir.
So my very first question, this story of yours, like, dude, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, and in a good way, you know, because it's not always, everyone doesn't get that happy ending. And so knowing what you do and knowing that you also inspire other people, I'm going to assume that you recognize that you are one of the lucky ones to push forward, and your ending or your story, your journey is drastically different from so many other people. So what happened or what transpired that allowed you to actually get to that place of mind so that you were not just another statistic?
Right. You know, honestly, like, you know, I do recognize that I am a person that has made it out. You know, very few, like, you know, millions didn't make it, but I was one of the ones who did, right? You know,
Yeah.
And that old song that they sing in the gospel world, and I recognize that God had his hand on my life, you know, and I believe God had a purpose for me. But honestly, you know, I believe that it was possible for me to take another route. You know, I won't say that it was always there, that I was so focused and I had a clear set, like a clear road ahead of me. Like I could see myself going here. Because honestly, I can say my first time being homeless, you know, my first time actually being homeless was 8th grade year, my 8th grade in middle school. But, you know, I talked about high school because that was like the most impactful, right? Like that's when everything just started, I don't know, spiraling out of control, but at the same time, it aligned. You know, it's amazing to see like how things just became so discombobulated, but then at the same time, it set a straight path for me, right? And I think what really like changed my life was the people that came into my life. I believe that God sent specific people in my life to help me get to where I am. You know, I can't say that my journey was alone because it wasn't. It definitely took some people to help me recognize who I was, what my potential was. I can say my junior year, it was definitely like some of my teachers, such as like Dr. DeBow. I had a teacher named Mr. Bell. I had a teacher named Ms. Bootcheever. I had a teacher named Mr. Jones, and they all kind of like believed in me, and they all wanted to help see me succeed. And then also outside of that, I was at Memphis Ambassadors Program, where I had Mr. Cash and Miss Liza, Mr. Alton. You know, they were helping me push me forward into like my dreams and like help us get back on our feet. And so I had that kind of support, you know, like, and it took me reaching out. Also, Mr. Hoots, I can't forget Mr. Hoots. He'll kill me if he heard this interview. He'd hear me his name. And I had those people in my life that kind of like inspired me and helped me get back on my feet and helped me realize like the saving, just keep going. So, you know, junior year, I said, okay, we got through it. And that's when I said, okay, this is when I'm going to create an organization called Basic to help other students going through adversity, because I know I'm not the only one in this school going through adversity, and nobody
100%.
You know, and so, and you know, I believe that like that was probably like the disconnect between teachers and students. I believe that compassion part, you know, like
really,
yeah, I believe like sometimes, because sometimes, you know, like we can get so focused on like what we're doing that we sometimes forget that like people have lives outside of what we're doing. And it's that compassion piece that we have to realize that, like, you know, hey, this person is human, you know? Yeah. And so, and kind of like Basic was that kind of like liaison group. Like we helped supported those students in any way that we could. And so then my senior year, someone who really pushed me, and like this is like a major influence on my life, and like I can't thank these two people enough, because I wouldn't be at Morehouse today if it wasn't for these two people. I honestly cannot say that. And it was Mr. Duran Hall and Miss Angelica Hall and Mrs. Angelica Hall. And so, like, you know, I remember I got involved with this group called Velocity Leaders, and at the Benjamin L. Hooks Library. And I was going through the little program, and I met Miss Angelica first. And she was talking to me, getting to know me, all of that. And then she said, I want you to meet my fiance. And so
Okay.
I said, okay. I said, okay. So she said, all right. And one day she messaged me on Facebook, and she was like, are you looking for a mentor? I said, I have mentors, but I'm always looking for more. You never have enough mentors. And so she said, that's true. She said, I'm going to connect you. So she connected me with him, and then I met up with him one day at his job. He was the director of operations and partnerships at Memphis Music Initiative.
Okay.
And I met up with him there, and I kind of like told him about myself, and I guess like he already knew some things and kind of like found out some things, and he offered me an internship right there off the spot, and he became my mentor. And he's the one that drove me down here for Admitted Students Weekend to kind of like say, yeah, like, and pay for everything. Pay for everything. Him and his fiance, at the time they were fiancés, brought me to Atlanta, Georgia, got me a hotel, brought me to Morehouse to see Admitted Students Weekend. And that's when I decided that this is where I wanted to be. And so like, I believe it was a little resilience in me that like, because I knew that I never wanted to be in that position ever again. I remember how hard it was. I remember how many tears I cried. I remember how tired I was all the time. And I just said, I never want to be here ever again. And so I knew it was that goal in my head, and also it was also the people that God set in place for me that helped me get to where I am right now.
You brought up so many great points. I mean, of course, I have like several questions here that I want to ask, but just in your answer in that alone, like you brought up several more questions for me. And number one, you were speaking about being human and how we don't always understand that. And especially, like you said, getting in the day-to-day, we don't necessarily have the compassion or understand that there's a human behind the person and the job or the student. Mm-hmm. So going back along that lines of being human and not necessarily knowing the end goal. And you said you could see, or obviously you knew something was different, or you were different, that there was a different calling, I should say, on your life, but you just didn't see that end goal. Going back to that headspace, do you remember what that was like? And I'm asking, of course, for selfish reasons, but but do you remember like what that was like, or how you kept pushing through? Like because you know what I mean? Does that make sense to you at all? Mm-hmm. Like, how were you pushing through that?
Oh man, honestly, I can name a few things. One, my mom was heavily rooted in the church. And so like, a lot of it was my faith in God. I have a great relationship with God, I believe. And, I said, God, I'm trusting in you that you're going to get me through this, because I knew I had this kind of like responsibility on my back. And I knew that I didn't want to stay homeless. So like, I knew my mom was kind of like ill and she couldn't really do what she wanted to do. And I know my mom held her head down a lot, because my mom has cried on my shoulders, literally. And so like, when I saw that, like, it's like when you see your mom cry on your shoulder, it brings about a different level of like drive to like make sure that all this hard work that she has put in all these years, raising 5 kids by herself, that I'm not gonna fail on her. Like, anything that I can do to help, I'm gonna help. And so and I remember my little brother and sister looking up to me. Like, my little sister looks up to me all the time. We have a great relationship. My little brother too. And, the fact that I knew I was leading, and also I was trying to help, it was just like, I can't give up. Like, I don't have any room to give up, because like, literally I'm the only option at this point, because my little brother and sister are in middle school, so they can't do nothing.
Yeah.
And then my mom, she's trying her best, and I see that like, and it's like, I didn't tell a lot of people at first, because I knew my mom, had this, a mother's love is unconditional. And I was like, my mom is trying her best, and I know that she doesn't feel the best right now, because she's trying her best, and yet here we are. And I was like, I know my mom is feeling some type of way, but I don't want that to go to waste, because I saw my mom work 2 jobs. I saw my mom, being treated wrong. I saw my mom being talked about. I saw my mom hold her head down. I saw my mom, cry because of one of my siblings, my older siblings, and so it was just like, I can't be that son. And like, I think because one thing that I've always had is a heart, and my heart, I think, is one of my strengths, is because like my heart has a resilience, but it also have a love that is like unconditional. You know, like my job is not, I believe in going through life as in being a light. You know, I don't believe in, I'm a liberal. So like, you know, I'm a liberal. So like I believe in going through life and saying, you know, it's not my job to say how you're supposed to live your life, what your life is supposed to look like, whatever the case may be. My job is supposed to, you know, if we cross my path, there's a reason that you cross my path. And my job is to shine light on your path if I can, and, you know, love you or do whatever I can for you. And that's my job.
I've got to take this to a different level. I didn't know if I was going to ask it, but I'm feeling compelled to do it. So, and please don't take any offense to this whatsoever. But did you ever feel resentment for your mom or either of your parents for that situation? And I know that's a tough question, and you don't have to answer, but
I don't mind. I believe in being vulnerable because my teacher told me once, he said, you never know who your story can inspire. And so I believe in telling my story. So as far as resentment, you know, me and my dad at the time didn't have the best relationship, but we are getting better. We are talking now, but like we didn't have the best relationship at the time. So at the time, yeah, I did. You know, honestly, speaking from like a father-son relationship, like, you know, I'm not going to hide or lie, but yeah, I did have resentment towards him at the time because like of how I thought he viewed my mother, but I didn't understand his side of the story, you know, because he has a side of the story. My mom has a side of the story. It took me growing up to realize that.
Wait a minute, it grows wonderful. It grows wonderful. Oh, Lord Jesus.
Absolutely. It is, you know, I had to grow up. And then, but for my mom, you know, although sometimes I thought it was a little unfair that I had a lot of responsibility on my shoulders that I did not ask for because I didn't really get to enjoy my youth like I wanted to. You know, like I had to kind of like play catch up in college. But I don't regret it because it made me the person I am in college, and that's what's taking me to the next level that I am now. You know, and so I'm never regretted, and I never resented my mom for what it is because I knew my mom was trying her best. Now, if my mom wasn't trying her best and she just left the responsibility, it would be completely different. But the fact that I saw her put in effort, trying her best to do what she can, I was like, I can't be mad at her. Like, because, you know, I had to realize that, like, you know, one of my mentors told me this, and it helped me shape a lot of things. He was like, people have certain things that they have inside of them, and people are going to give to you what they have, and that's all they can't give you more if they don't know anymore. So, you know, like, and once you realize that about people, it's just like, wow, okay, yeah, I can't be mad at you.
I've got just like a couple of things happened. My dad was diagnosed with cancer a couple of years ago now. And so like it literally took us 30 years. I'm not asking for sympathy whatsoever. But he's, you know, it took us 30 years and him being diagnosed with cancer for us to go on our first lunch date. Like legitimately 30 years. And I don't regret anything that has happened in the past. I'm now able to ask him those questions that I just never knew. And I'm really glad you pointed that out because you're so right. Had he known better, he would have done better. He just didn't. He didn't know how to love a son, and a gay son of all. I mean, that's a whole other thing. It would have never happened. And so I cannot blame him for that. And so I'm glad that your story turned out drastically different because so many people are still walking around 40, 50, and 60 years old. Supposedly, you're supposed to have so much wisdom at that age. You should be able to learn from your lessons, but you're holding on so much resentment from the people that just gave you what they could. Absolutely. And so, oh my gosh. But speaking of that and your mentors, I'm so thankful for them as well, for them being in your life. In your adult life, do you still live by their practice where you're making sure that you keep mentors at your side?
Absolutely. I keep in contact with my mentors all the time. Like, you know, literally, I called my mentor actually this past week to say, you know, I'm entering into an oratorical contest. Can you like listen to my
entering into a what?
Oratorical contest.
What is that?
It's like where you compete with like giving a speech.
Oh, I'm like, wait a second. Okay, I was like, what? I'm like, I'm lost. Okay, I'm one of those slow people here at the moment. So
I don't think
you got to help us out now. But you compete with giving speeches or presentations.
So it's like a certain amount of people that like enter into the contest. You apply, then you make it to a semifinals, and so like like. I was kind of like, hey, like, can you listen to my speech real quick to see like how I sound? How does it sound? Give me your critique. Give me your roses. Roses are like what's good about it. And so like I could call him anytime and set up. And like I know that he's never ever forsaken me when it comes to like when I need him or when like he has a question for me. We have that open relationship where we can talk about literally anything. And so like I believe in keeping those mentors around. And I would be I gotta protect myself because I would be wrong if I didn't mention two people in my life that helped me grow with the mindset of it. Well, with the emotional maturity that I have now. And two of those people, three actually: Joseph Van Jones, my grandmother Ollie Reeves, and my grandfather Eugene Reeves. Those three people helped me when it came to like dealing with my emotions because I didn't really know how to handle emotions. I never really had time to. We were shuffling trying to make it. So like emotions wasn't really in the picture.
Yeah.
But those three people helped me, come to like that emotional
survival mode. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it would be wrong of me if I didn't mention that.
Speaking of that, so the mentors that you have in your life now, do you have multiple mentors that's currently assisting?
I do. Mm-hmm.
You do?
Yeah, I do. But I have like two that's at the forefront. And that's Angelica and Duran. Like they're at the forefront of everything. But I do have mentors that I can call on for anything. Like, I still have Mr. Alton's number. I can call him like, hey, I got an interview coming up. It's in finance. Can you help me out? Good thing I ain't got to do it no more. But, if it comes up.
Well, okay. So speaking of mentors, the Brother and Sisters Improvement Club, are you still a part of that at all? Or how's that working now?
So I kind of like leave that into the reins of who's there. So I believe in like, I'm still like the founder. So like, if you have any questions, I'm still open, things of that sort. And I'm still trying to spread it to like different schools. But at the point where like, I'm just like over it, like I leave them to be creative because like, the time that I was there might not be the same issues that are occurring now. So it would be, I will be imposing the concept of where I was then in the school, the environment that I was in, and it's a different time now. So like, I don't believe that I don't believe that I don't have the knowledge that the person would have of what's going on in the school. So I leave them to kind of like run the organization.
Man, your growth and self-awareness is freaking amazing. It's almost scary. Like that is almost kind of scary because, because I even think that I would probably struggle with that. Like, I feel like I would, if I was the founder, I feel like I would still want to have my hands in it, like my reins over what is happening versus allowing it to evolve into what it was truthfully meant to be. And that was to be mentored by someone that is obviously right there with you. So I really, oh, wow. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. That would throw me off. Wow. Okay. So obviously you're big in mentorship and leadership. I've seen a few things from you, especially specifically about leadership. Is there any advice that you would give to someone that is fresh, that is new or entering into leadership?
My thing is to lead. I would say my advice is to lead with compassion. A lot of people think of leadership as in like, your ability to create strategies, which is good, and your ability, not being knowledgeable, like all of those things are good to have. But really what's going to make you an excellent leader is your ability to have compassion for other people and where they are. Because, like that leads to like, say for instance, if I see a person that's not good in this area, so I don't choose them for the area. No, I'm going to see where you are. And then I'm going to help you grow into that part if that's something that you're interested in. But I'm not going to just completely not negate that you can't do that. Like, I believe anybody has the ability to grow and do what they want to do. You just have to be willing to teach them. You know, people are willing to learn if you be able to teach them. And also, second thing is with compassion, you know, it makes you more relatable. It makes you more interpersonal with people. And when you're leading people. And I think I think a lot of times people don't, they forget that aspect of leadership, right? Like they think organization, people, but the most important thing to leadership is making sure that you're able to lead people well. And so I would say, you know, lead with compassion, lead with your heart.
You know what? Speaking with that and compassion, now obviously your story and your journey from being homeless to Morehouse. I mean, I know that's probably like a title or something you could say in your sleep at this point. But aside from that, has there been a pivotal moment, specifically probably in your adult life, that has been a huge moment of growth for you? So, you know, does it make sense? Do you understand the question there?
Are you? I want to like make sure I can answer your question clearly. Are you saying like, you know, more so like related to homelessness, or like just period, like as in my adult life in college?
In your adult life, period.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that your background and your childhood played a huge part in who you are now. And so, and I guess I'm asking, what is another pivotal moment that has assisted you in your life as well? That's positive, hopefully, hopefully, but that has really assisted you and shaped who you are at this time.
Absolutely. I think when I got to college, actually, which is really, I think, what really like helped this person that you see today was really like me kind of like struggling when I got to college, but due to the fact that I didn't really have a childhood like I wanted to, like I was missing those teen years. When I got to college, I was lost. Like I was completely lost. I didn't know who I was. I didn't really have a self-esteem. I was like, wow. And like I'm seeing all these people like, you know, like they get attention. I'm just like, and I'm like, wow, like I don't know what to do. I don't know the right haircuts. I don't know the right clothes to wear. I'm just like going about my day.
Wait a minute, the right haircut? Really?
Right. Like, you know, like, like I didn't know. Like I just did not know. Like I used to ask my roommate. My roommate is like my brother now. Like his name is Kenton McNeil. We graduated from high school together. We came to Morehouse together. And
that's pretty
like
nice.
I used to ask him, like, do I look okay? Like, you know, like freshman year, things like that. And so like, you know, really meeting people like Tion and Joseph and Jair and Ivor and Kenton Taylor, like those kind of people that came into my life that affirmed and accepted me for who I was holistically. You know, like there was no conditions, there was no anything on it. And so like they helped me kind of like say, all right, so let me do what I want to do, right? Like I'm an adult now. So like, let me see, what do I like? What does Dacavien like? What does Dacavien love? What do I like to do? What am I interested in? And like, when I start asking myself those questions, you know, that's when it became like the growth. I was like, okay, I'm going to invest in myself. You know, I used to invest in people all the time. I said, it's time to invest in Dacavien now. You know, this is your time. And so, you know, I think like, and also talking to people, because like, you know, I know they realized that like, you know, I didn't really like value myself at the point, like the way that I do now. And so, you know, really kind of like going towards that value piece of like having your, getting tongue twisted, having some self-value, right? Like, you know, self-worth about yourself. And you see yourself as something worthy to be presented, something worthy to be able to speak in front of people. And, you know, like really growing into that piece. And then when I realized like, you know, and I also went to counseling too, because I was like, I didn't know. And so, you know, I started writing down who is Dacavien, what is Dacavien like, what, like all these types of things that I would be interested in and about myself. Then I started seeing, oh, wow, you really are something of value.
You know, it's so crazy that you said that, because I actually wrote down one of the tweets that you said specifically about that. And you stated that the moment that one recognizes their worth and potential is the moment that one recognizes their power. And that was going to be part of the question, my very next question. So that is like, I appreciate that. I appreciate you helping me out with that. Wow. Okay. So first off, when I say your self-awareness, I just cannot say that enough. And I know that it's repetitive. I really cannot thank you enough for that, because we have people that are quite literally in high leadership roles that are not self-aware enough to know what the hell they want, or even remotely what they want to do, or even the fact of being able to say, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have that. And so for you to be at a point in your life, despite your background, despite whatever has occurred even in college, despite all, you're able to say now that you are drastically different from who you were. And all of these things have obviously shaped you to be who you are. I cannot thank you enough.
A few years ago, this person was not present. 3 years ago, this person was not present. It took some growth.
So Dacavien, if someone wanted to reach out to you for more information, or even just help, just a question, even to be a mentor for them, how can they reach out to you?
I would say reach out to me via social media first, so like we can build that rapport. So you can reach me at Instagram, _YoungBoss20, or you can reach me at my Facebook. It's open to any and all. Dacavien Reeves. I don't know if they know how to spell my name. Dacavien. It's not an easy name. So you can reach me at those two platforms.
I will link it up.
And I'm more than willing to, share my information, share my advice, or like give my perspective, anything. I'm more than willing.
I definitely appreciate it. So, Dacavien, what are you doing now? I know you obviously have a 9-to-5. You obviously have your own career path. So, what does that entail at this moment?
Okay, so right now I'm finishing up my senior year. This is my last semester at Morehouse College. I'll be receiving my business administration degree. And I have a full-time offer with JP Chase & Co. when I graduate. And so that's what I'll be doing is immediately after graduation. And right now I'm a lead RA of Mays Hall. I'm in a couple organizations and things like that I'm involved on campus. But other than that, that's what I have lined up. Also, I have a YouTube channel. I'm trying to.
Okay, so wait a second. Now, I didn't see the YouTube channel. Now, I did some intense research. When did the YouTube channel come up?
I started last semester. That's been a dream of mine because I've always wanted to be a TV talk show host. Because it's kind of like same like your reason. Like I was like I love hearing a person's story because like you never know who that story is going to inspire. So like having that exposure, really like shines a light. And so I started that last semester. I've been wanting to do it since my freshman year of college, and I said last semester I'm going to do this. So I started it. And it's up and running. We're trying to get it up and rolling. So,
what's the name of the YouTube channel?
Dacavien Reeves TV.
Dacavien Reeves. I'm gonna have to look that up because I did not see that. I did not see. So, is there I forgot my train of thought. Maybe I wasn't supposed to say it. Like that is never supposed to happen. That is never supposed to happen. I can't even think of that thought. It's gone. So I'm just going to let it go. But being a talk show host, I mean, what about being a talk show host is even like, why?
Because like, I love interacting with people and I love hearing, their perspective about a lot of things. For instance, like I like hearing about how someone had to grow up because you never know a person's experience when you meet them, right? Like you think that you meet this person and say, hey, like this person is cool or hey, this person is mean, but you never understand what their experience was like. And, and that shapes a person because, as much as like there's interior things that goes on, there's exterior things that happens in a person's life, right? Like, we have to recognize that like my first interview was with my big brother, who was a darker skinned male, average height, and he's working, right? And so it's interesting to hear his perspective about how he grew up. Even though we grew up in the same household, we had two totally different experiences 100%. And how the complexion of his skin kind of like impacted, his internal forces, right? And so I'm interested in how, what impacts a person's life and how, that helps them and shape them and who they are today. And what that experience is like, because then from there, once it's out there, then there's somebody else. There's a child out there literally saying, hey, I'm dark skinned. hey, I'm a dark skinned woman or I'm a dark skinned girl, and like I have this beautiful hair. You know, it's beautiful hair,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
know, and I need to hear someone say that I am beautiful. You know, and the power in that
I
is
get that.
unbelievable. So you know, I
I
was like,
get that. How many shots have you done now, if you don't mind me asking? I know I'm prying.
I think I've.
No, I'm prying. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
I've done about 4 or 5. I want to
Okay.
say 4 or 5. I think it's 4 or 5 videos up right now.
I am really gonna have to go check that out. I really am. Like, I'm really intrigued by that. Like, I'm really intrigued by that. Well, Dacavien, I definitely appreciate you for coming onto the show, even just saying yes and sharing your knowledge and inspiration and hell, bringing me to tears. I was not expecting that at all. I mean, but I'm obviously a mama's boy. I love my mom, and just the mere thought of her crying, I don't know if I could take that. I just don't know if I could take that. So,
Absolutely.
I really thank you. I thank you so very much.
No, I thank you for being able to allow me to be on your platform to be able to inspire. You know, thank you for reaching out to me. I remember I was like, who is this? And then I was like, I went to go look, I was like, let me read a little bit. And I was like, okay, well, he looks legit. So let me reach back out.
Well, I'm glad I wasn't crazy, okay? I'm glad I wasn't crazy. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is a great place to end. Oh, wow. I love it. I love it. Again, I really do appreciate you.
No problem at all. No problem.
Let me make sure there we go.